welcome everyone to the Indian Season 12 race around Texas, the land of the free in the United States. We have 16 drivers with us here tonight, and as you can see, there are some very unfamiliar names if you've been following IRL for the past few weeks. That's because we have the former D1 drivers joining us tonight on the track. That includes the likes of VFix, Shooter, and I'm trying to find a few more to. Yeah, Ethan. We have. I can't see Yash. Oh, Yash is here. Okay, so we have a couple of D1 drivers as well with us. It should be interesting to see the pecking order, how it forms up given the introduction of the D1 drivers as well. Hello, Harshi. Nice to see you in the chat there. Yes, we do know everyone knows everyone. It's a very tight-knit community, as we've seen and established over the past couple of years. As at the moment, it seems like VFix has the measure of everyone, and that is on the medium tire, mind you. Couple other drivers also out on track. Oh, I saw somebody have a little moment there. Was that URL Basil? Onto the back straight he goes, and he is in the Haas. I think as has been tradition for the past few weeks. Let me just very quickly share the link over. Yes, and we are here. So the eagle-eyed among you would remember that about 2 seasons ago, when it was Division 2, this very driver who is in our focus right now on the screen, and he's driving a masterpiece of a car, as some would say. He, I believe, not too many laps into the race, he did give us a very iconic moment, more so for myself, at the corner we're about to approach, and as I go on board with him, he has a moment there. So that's definitely no jinxing right there, no commentators curse over there. The eagle-eyed among you would remember that at this very corner, we had this happen. Come on. Yeah, there you go. Sorry, my phone's a bit all over the place tonight. But yes, that is the exact venue, almost a year apart to the day that this happened with Shooter. But we shall focus on the race tonight. And at the moment, it seems like Yash is the last driver on the grid. These are, I think, that's the answer you're supposed to give us, because it's a little up and down here and there. Hello, VFix, nice to see you. We shall focus on the kick sauber of Yash Gosalia going down the back straight. Forgive me for I don't really know my corner numbers, I don't remember them very well. But let's see Yash's line through this section, and that seems to be reasonable. And near the end sector 2, he is 1.2 seconds up, but that's a clear invalidation, clear as day. Wow, that is not going to sit well with him. He's going to be a bit upset about that. Let's see what Delhi Mosquito can do. Should he be on a lap? I think he is. He is using his battery, and he looks to be on a relatively competent lap. His banker wasn't that great, but let's see what he can do. He goes slow actually. So, I think he's doing race run. Sorry, my bad. I didn't really notice that. I see 7 is on an out lap. He has, let's just say, not had the best run of results. Reasons within and beyond control. But yes, I think as Vishnu is mentioning, he is a championship contender. He has been on it from the get-go. The trouble is now with the likes of Noble Garter, VFix and Shooter, Yash and Ethan, what's it going to be like for these drivers? It's going to be very interesting to see how the pecking order changes. Will these D2 drivers be able to give competition to the D1, established D1 drivers, fraternity? Let's see, let's find out. We'll focus on Ethan at the moment, and he is squirming around a little bit at the exit of that corner, but coming down the hill towards the, I want to say, turn 9? I'll have to pull it up, the track map on my screen, on my phone. But I'll not do that right now. I'll focus on Ethan's lap as he's looking to pick up a bit of a slipstream from the car ahead, who is not going to oblige. He moves out the way. I think that is 7, he wants to warm up his tires. Ethan looks to be on a reasonably competent lap. This is where it all went wrong for Yash. Let's see how well it goes for Ethan. Stays within track limits. That's an improvement for him. And let's have a look. I think Ethan's a little feisty with the car. Is not entirely set up to his liking. Well, it's also this game. You never know what's up with this game. But nonetheless, he is rounding up the last corner right now. He will open the DRS and he'll come up to the line, and URL Ethan will go up to pole position. That's a great lap by him. It looked a bit squirmy, but I think that's just my misjudgment of his lap. Let's have a look at 7 at the moment. Where is he? Oh, he's on track. So I think that's his teammate. I am Rahul. Alright, so of course Rahul has showcased some incredible potential this season. He could certainly be there for the championship. As we saw last week in Spa, he was at the back of the grid, but it didn't deter him one bit. He won the race from last place on the grid. Let's see if that accolade can be continued on this weekend. So Suraj looking 7, looking to get a tow from the car ahead. That is the Kick Sauber of, I want to believe it is Vivek. It is Vivek. So let's see what happens in that. So recent developments. I think she would like to elaborate a little further on that. Some developments have come about as well, but yes, the biggest development here is that we have a D1 1, 2, 3. However, Shrivats is not too far behind them. He could still be a contender. Mind you, he's shown some good turn of pace. Let's see what Suraj can do. Coming up to the penultimate corner. Was that? I couldn't really make out with the cinematic camera, but through the last corner he goes. Vifx goes on to provisional pole, but can 7 do anything about that? He can go up to P6. Alright. So improves by half a second. He has a decent buffer to those behind Pratham and Ko. So a lot of drivers on their hot lap. So forgive me if I miss some important events because in the comms box. Vifx, meanwhile, who would have expected? Well, we would have accepted. Alright, so there we go, URL Basil. So it's a D1 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, that seems to be the current pecking order. Hello Raman, nice to see you in the chat. That's our season 11 D2 champion. I hope I said that right, yeah. I hope I said that right, yes. So, welcome Raman to the chat. I think we should have somebody set that. So I think what Shooter's doing right now is just race runs. He doesn't want to bother with a quali run right now. Maybe he won't bother with a quali run at all. That's what I used to do sometimes, and I've driven this team's car at some point in time. But nonetheless, we might see him dive into the pit lane. Maybe he'll do one representative quali lap. Will he dive into the pits this lap? He will, and he almost takes out the ball out while he's at it. So an interesting way to enter the pit lane nonetheless. But I believe everybody is now. I think everybody's going to go into the pits. So we should have a little bit of a lull on the track while we wait for drivers to come out on track. As we see, Mosquito is the sole driver who is on his out lap, and nobody is currently, doesn't look to be on a hot lap, so please forgive me if anybody is and I missed a lap. We shall, so let me try to follow Deadly Mosquito's lap. Okay, fine. Oh, little moment there into the last corner for Deadly Mosquito, but he opens his DRS and he starts the lap. So he will rise up the hill. It is quite a steep incline. I wish I knew the exact value, the degree of the incline, but it is a very steep incline into turn 1, and then we proceed to go down the hill gradually throughout the course of sector 1. As we go to turn 2, now there's a tricky section, turns 3, 4, 5 and 6. I think if you nail these, you have a pretty good start for your lap. And this turn 7, he's up by almost 2 tenths. Up to turn 8 and to the infamous turn 9, as it's going to be remembered in IRL lore, and that's the beautiful camera angle we all love through turn 10. Approaching turn 11, this is the corner that leads us onto the long back straight, and Deadly Mosquito does not like that back straight very much. He wants to see the other end of it. That is the end of that attempt for him. Let's have a look at what's going on here. Why is... oh. Okay, so I don't know if you can make it out there, but the game would not let me switch between Yash and Rahul, because it's a quality product, mind you. There's nothing wrong with this whatsoever. Mosquitoes, Wait, let me just. Okay, so I'm sorry, I had the wrong. Had the wrong tire graphic on, so my sincere apologies for that. Noble Carter dives into the pit lane with just under 3.5 minutes left as I finish this sentence right now. There you go. So with just under 3.5 minutes left, let's see. Rahul has not set a lap as of now. He is the only driver to not have a representative time on the time sheets here, and he is weaving around quite aggressively. And, well, you know what happens to drivers when they weave really aggressively. There's a possibility. Well, I don't want to say it. It's the typical certain thing that commentators can do to drivers. Don't want to be saying it. I would have really liked to join these guys on track as well, but this is not a game that's... Okay, well, never mind. That's a different tangent. I don't want to be diving down that right now. As we see, Pratham is on an outlap. So we have not seen the likes of Pratham as well on the track for a very long time. He's presently in the midfield, thereabout. Vifix asking, does it count in the stats? What? Oh, you mean the pole position? I think it does because it's an official event, so it should count ideally. So Vifix, congratulations, you've extended your record by even more. This is going to be the sole attempt for Rahul unless he decides to bail out early into this lap. He will not have the battery in order to do so, but going up the hill, there's a bit of traffic. He may get traffic on this lap. This is something that I don't think is accounted for. That is Shooter. I think he gets out the way quite nicely. Through turn 2 goes Rahul, now into the SS section. It's a bit tricky, and he seems to be absolutely judging it to perfection. He is on the limit there, and let's have a look at his sector 1 time. It's a 25.1. I think Ethan did a 25 flat, so he is there or thereabouts. He should have the pace for the top 5 at least, I feel, through this beautiful corner. Look at that. That's a majestic shot. Nothing else can be said about it. That's a beautiful, beautiful corner and a beautiful camera angle. One of the few good things about this game. And as we go into the back straight, Rahul is the sole driver on his hot lap. No, that's Yash as well. So we'll switch back to him in a bit, as the yellow flag indicator, as usual, is dancing around like it's having a great time. Rahul will come up to the end of sector 2. Let's have a look at Yash. It's okay, let's not look at that. Oh, Rahul is invalidated. Well, I wasn't on board with him, so it's not necessarily particularly my because of me. There's no commentator's curse involved here. He will be saving up his battery. He will have the chance to do one more attempt, but it has to be the one, or he won't get a lap time on the board. Yash, meanwhile, he is up by 8/10, but he is a long way back right now. I think this would just get him around where Mosquito is at the moment. As per sector 1, let's have a look at sector 2. There you go, 1.5 seconds up. This should have him around Sid Venkatesh, and Vintage is a little too far ahead. So a lot of people starting their laps. We shall focus on leaders for the moment because Noble Carter is here. He is about 3.5 tenths adrift of Vifix at the moment. Can he do something? Can he pull something out the bag? We'll find out over the course of the next 20 odd seconds. As we see, Vifix is yet to round up the last corner. There's not a lot of time left on the board, but he will get to the line in time. That's why he's going a bit slowly. So there's 10 seconds to go, and he will be the last driver to start his lap. So all 16 drivers are on a lap right now. Did I see a little speck of rain there, or was that just... Oh, that's just something I'm assuming there. Okay, so we have a couple of Red Bulls. That's an RB, sorry. Racing Bull. In any case, we have the RB of... who would that be? Sorry, Noption on the grass. That's the end of the quali for Noption, and he's pinned it in the wall. What about Shrivats coming up to the end of his lap? And Pratham moves up to P7. And Vintage does not improve on his position nor on his time. What about Shrivats? He is in P5. All those ahead of him are D1 drivers, and he does improve, but not his position. That is quite disappointing for him. What about Sonic Hawk? What about Shooter? Shooter's coming up to this start-finish line. As I see, Mercedes has gone into the pit lane. That's Suraj. He's called time on his session. So what can Shooter do? This is going to be the best attempt for him, and he goes P4, so it's a D1 top 5. Oh, who would have expected that? We have Sonic Hawk who's about to finish his lap. We have 2 Ferraris, that's Delhi Mosquito and Sid Venkatesh. What can Sid do? Sid can... Oh, he stays 14. Rahul pits, Ethan with the fastest lap right at the death, but what can Vifix do? Doesn't look like he's improved in the second sector there. as he's down by 17 thousandths, and he's going aggressive. He needs to, because he knows Ethan is ahead of him at the moment by about a tenth, and he invalidates. That's the end of it. Ethan has taken pole position for United States Grand Prix. What an effort by him. Nupshan has no lap, and what about Yash? Yash is also calling time. So right at the end there were so many drivers to focus on. We couldn't really give him much airtime, but URL Ethan, right at the death, he takes pole position. He snatches it away from VFX Cutter. Wow, that's a phenomenal lap. Yes, and right at the end, that's really great. Vifix in P2, Noble got in P3, a very commendable effort by him there. He's not too far away from the leaders either, and what's happened there, sorry for that. Yes, so the top 3 separated by less than 2 tenths, and then there is a 7-tenth gap between P1 and P4. So make of it what you will. There is a lot to uncover here over the next, I want to say 29 laps or 28 laps. We'll find out in a bit, as there you go. That is your final classification for the qualifying session that we've just witnessed. URL Ethan takes pole from VFX Cutter. There's almost nothing separating them. Noble Cutter in P3. There's a big gap to Shooter behind in P4. Basil in P5. Not much separating these two either. Shivas in P6. That's a very commendable effort there. Sonic Hawk in P7. Nupshan P8. And Pratham is a second behind in P9, and Suraj is P10. Outside the top 10 we have Yash, Mosquito, Vintage, Sid, Shah, and I am Rahul, who did not set a lap time. Mind you, last week Rahul came from the back of the grid to win the race. Could you replicate that? Please leave your thoughts in the comments here. I would love to read them, and I'd just like to see what's your opinion. Can the established D2 fraternity upset the D1 drivers? Because these drivers have been quite fast over the course of the past few races that we've seen. And there's talk of chicken. Well, if there is a talk of chicken, then please send some my way as well. Would love to have that. Caesar really knows how to get someone's taste buds going. I've just realized that's going to be taken out of context in the future, so please do so. Alright, and we should have the fire lights come on ahead of the drivers any moment now. Mind you, because this game is completely fixed and bug free, we don't have a formation lap unfortunately, so we'll have to see the drivers' tyre choices only once we get towards turn 1, or at least at the race start. We have 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. And with that, it's lights out and they're off. It's a good start for Ethan. It's a good start for VFX. I think it's a slightly better start for VFX. He's on the mediums, I see, and Ethan is forcing him towards the inside of the track. But I think Ethan will have the track position. And Noble got a touch to make a move on the outside, and I think he's done so. There's a bit of wheel banging there. I think there's some contact, marginal contact. But the biggest news here is that Noble Gata has jumped ahead of VFX. I think he was a bit too conservative on the race start there. And Ethan leads away comfortably, and there's a bit more argy-bargy going further back. But we'll not focus on that for the moment. We'll focus on these drivers here. As wow, look at that beautiful camera angle there, seeing all the 16 drivers almost in one shot as Noble Cutter looks to chase after Ethan. And I'll switch over to the tire situation in a moment, as there's a yellow flag. That's Sonic Hawk, who's had a massive moment there on those medium tires in the Aston Martin. But nonetheless, we look further back, Shooter getting a little bit out of shape there. Oh, there's somebody getting massively out of shape. I think that is Yash Gosalia, well, I didn't have many favors there. As you see, most of the drivers have opted for the medium tires. Only Pratham and Yash and Rahul have opted for the hard tires. Well, we'll focus on this for the moment. Shooter, he is a little bit out of touch, at least in qualifying he was. So let's see what he can do in the race here. VFX looking feisty. He wants to make the move on Noble Gata. He wants to get ahead, he wants to regain the position that he lost. And I see a yellow flag. That is Vintage player who has spun around, I believe. We will not look at that for the moment. The yellow flag is dancing around once again, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But up front, Ethan retains his lead and Noble Gata gets ahead of VFX. So that's actually quite surprising, because we've usually seen VFX be very quick on in the race starts, and we have Rahul into the pit lane, so there's something gone horribly wrong with him there. He should not be pitting on the first lap. Okay, Noble has gone very wide, and that's going to open the door up to VFX massively. As you go on board with them, this is side-by-side racing, but I think Noble has the better exit, better traction, but he has fallen back 8 tenths from Ethan. And mind you, this lap, is when DRS is enabled. Down the back straight, these drivers, all of them who are within a second of the driver in front, will have DRS. And Nobles regain some time to Ethan, so I'm not sure, is it in their best interest to work together and keep Vifix at bay? Because we've seen in the past how feisty, how quick Vifix has been all throughout his league racing time, as we see URL Basil in the back of Shrivats, almost losing the rear end there. A little bit of... oh, is it not? Jin, I think I have been misled there by that. I believe that Vifix has always been really good at race starts. As there you go, Basil gets ahead of Shrivats, who does not put up much of a fight. I think he knows that it doesn't make sense. It might actually make more sense to have Basil go and harass Shooter in this case, on track, of course. Vifix behind Noble, Noble behind Ethan. So this could prove to be quite interesting, as the lines to turn 16 are a little different for all the drivers. Yes, Jishnu, we shall not discuss that any further anymore. Let's go on board with the driver. Shooter, some may say. Ethan with the fastest lap, Shooter takes it, then so does Basil. Alright. So, well, a couple of comments here. I think I may have been very misled about Vifix's race starts. I didn't realize that. I'll not say anything here. We shall wait for the next few weekends. Through the SS we go. It's lap 3 and the order stays mostly as it is. Further back I see there's a bit of argy-bargy in the midfield there. But look at this beautiful camera angle. This fantastic helicopter shot of the top 5, all D1 drivers. Who would have thought? Absolutely, who would have thought? Well, actually, I must comment, this is a really, really good angle. And will Vifix go for a dive here? I don't think he will. Shooter's getting very close to the back of that kicks over, and Basil is getting very close to the rear end of Shooter's car. What about it? Can they make a move? I think Basil is looking to size up a move here. Goes to the inside, moves ahead, and I think he's made the move stick. What about Vifix and Noble Garter? I think this is the case for them as well. And Basil goes for a dive there. That's not gonna help him. That's gonna unsettle Noble Garter as well. And once we exit this one, I'll bring up the timing screen again. And there you go. Shooter's also right there. Actually, I'll just stick with this for a little bit there. Basil going for the dive down the inside, and he makes a move. That's a fantastic move on Noble Garter. He moves up into P3, and Noble might lose yet another place to Shooter, but I think he's covered him up for the time being. Alright, that was some nice racing. I've not seen that in a while. That was really, really good to see. D1 racing side, that's what I want to say. Side by side, D1 racing. Noble Garter, he's not had the best of laps. He's lost 2 positions in the span of 1.5 sector. So he wants to reclaim and regain the position that he lost. What about Vifix? I don't think it makes sense for him to go for the offensive right now. He will do so on the back straight. And we can hear the growl, not so the growl, it's more so the purr of the V6 motors as they go through the S's. And let's see, okay, I think Basil has gotten a little bit out of shape there, as he is under threat from Noble. Noble's actually getting out of threat here. Noble's out of shape, sorry. He's under threat from Shooter as we go up to Shooter's favorite corner. Noble's really not having a good time. Maybe his tires have overheated. We'll not go on board with him right now. We'll just wait for the back straight and see how his exit is comparative with Shooter. And Shooter himself has a pretty poor exit there. That is going to open up the door for Shrivats, who, well, he's been right there in touch as we've established previously, and Vifix moves ahead of URL Ethan, who's led this race for so many laps, but now Vifix takes over the lead of the race. Can Ethan hang on? Let's have a look. So Vifix, he's a very good tactician. He knows when to attack and when to do. And the 2 URL boys are gonna go to battle. They're gonna go to war. And I think this particular war has been won out by URL Basil. So now these 2, I believe they have had a few run-ins in the past. But will this allow Vifix to run away? Mind you, we do know that Vifix and Basil often work together as a team, even if they're not necessarily in the same constructors team. So, but they're just when they're together on track, they can really set the tone, set the pace. So, has Ethan done himself no favors by letting Basil pass, as well as Basil has an enormous moment there. That is heart and mouth moment for Basil and for Ethan, because he was so scared, I'm sure, of losing his front wing there. And played, wow, that is scary. Scary for Ethan and scary for Basil, of course. But they carry on. But mind you, for the first time in so many laps, there is a gap of more than a second between P1 and P2, and Jin is giving the GG to Basil. I think that is a signal of the events to come as Basil gets out of shape, exiting that corner. That is not really going to help him out because Ethan is going to be on his tail. He's going to pull to the left hand side and he's going to pass the horse driver. Maybe Noble Garter will also follow suit. He might make a double move, you know, Noble Garter, if he has the straight line speed. I don't think he does. Will he attempt it? That's very close. He has to cut the corner. That's certainly going to be a corner cutting warning for him there. I'm surprised actually that wasn't a straightforward penalty. This game is really not consistent in the slightest, as okay, Shooter has to get a little bit out of shape there to avoid making an enormous collision with Noble Garter. But look up front, Bifix has pulled away by 1.5 seconds. So this intra-URL fighting is not really helping these two out because they have lost a lot of time. But crucially, Ethan seems to be pulling away from Basil and he's coming close to getting close to Bifix once again. So yes, I think Jin, the corner cutting is on strict. So, well, actually I don't know. This is a game that you can't really expect much out of. Let's have a look at this little battle further back. I was gonna say that I would focus on the midfield as well, but there you go, Sid and Yash. These are two of the more established names. They've been around for a while, and Sid goes for the move, but I think Yash will have the switch back on him as Sid goes for a little investigation there into the Sauber's side pod. I think that's the best way to put it. Thankfully, both of them look to have emerged unscathed. That Shooter, oh, he loves this corner. He's made a little mistake there. That's not going to help him at all. And well, we proceed forth. Ethan has not been able to catch up to within 1 second of Bifix, so that is not going to help. He's going to be under threat from Basil, who actually at this point in time is a little too far back. I don't think he's going to go for a move here that would be reckless, and he knows that, and he actually takes avoiding action, which will open up the door for Noble Garter. Shrivats and Shooter are battling away, and will Shooter have the upper hand? Will Shrivats have the upper hand? Shrivats looks to have the grip around the outside somehow. That's a fantastic bit of side-by-side racing between the pair of them, and I can't really make out what's going on because it's giving these stupid camera angles here. I'm sorry for that. But there you go, we still have Shooter ahead, and look at this, Suraj and Nuption side by side. These two have history from last week, we've seen that at Spa. But it's great to see that there's multiple battles going on all up and down the field, and I hope that I get to capture more than just a few of them. As once again we rise up the hill, we start lap 7 of 28. And we go up the hill, and Basil is close to Ethan but not close enough. This is where it all went wrong for him 2 laps ago for Basil, and I think he just wants to maintain pace right now. Bifix is having a gala time up front. He's not really being threatened by anyone behind him, and he's built up almost a 2-second gap between himself and Ethan, so that's, I think, a sign of things to come. Strategy might help in regards to this. We might see some strategy games here with Bifix, Ethan, Basil, all the D1 drivers, and also in this case Shrivats. Okay, so I see Shah has had a moment here. He's gone off the track, and there's a yellow flag for another reason. Is that Sid Venkatesh has had a moment? Yes, he has at Shooter's famous corner, and he's down in P15. He has had a pretty dismal weekend as of now because he's still struggling. He's about to be overtaken by I Am Rahul. As what's going on here? I'm sorry for that. There was a little moment there, a lapse in concentration. I'm sorry, as there is battles and wheel banging going on between Shooter and Suraj, and in all that I see that it is Shrivats who has pulled away, and they're side by side, these two. I'm sorry that I missed that. But yes, that's a nice helmet from Sid Venkatesh. Vintage Blair becomes the first driver to pick up a penalty in tonight's race, and Suraj is fighting with Shooter. So I believe what happened was that Shooter and Shrivats and Suraj and Option all were very, very close at the end of the DRS straight, as Option is at the tail end of the train. I'm sure he wants to get ahead of Suraj at least, and also Shooter and Co. The trouble is they're all on the same tire strategy, so they can't really play too many games here. Up front we see Ethan and Basil. What's gonna happen here? Actually, there's a lot of battles to focus on here. Once again, Noble's very close. Further back we see Nuption's very close, As Suraj gets out of shape there, exiting that corner. I think that's turn 10. I'm sorry. Jishnu, no, nothing stopping you. Please do join us again. We'd love to have you on track. We'd love to see you battling with these boys. As we'll focus on this battle and then on the battle right behind them. It's Basil versus Ethan versus Noble Carter, and Ethan goes for the move. He will make it stick. What about Noble Carter? I don't think he'll be able to do anything right now. What about Suraj and Noption? I think they're all well spaced out, nothing doing at the moment. And Ethan and Basil, they are having a great time. They're enjoying these battles. And Basil is struggling for traction by the looks of it. And once again, Mosquito and Yash are having a little bit of a tussle there. I see midfield is also having their own fun. Suraj is pretty close to Shooter. Let's see what he can do compared to the Alpine driver ahead of him. So, at this point in time, the highest ranked D2 driver is Shrivats. He is ahead of Shooter. So, I think, okay, there's a pretty massive moment there for Shrivats. And up front, there you go, as established order is Noble Carter is just, I think what he's doing is, yeah, I was just going to mention that he is conserving some battery. And from what we could make out on that brief look at his dashboard, I think he's done that very successfully. So, okay, with that in mind, we shall have a look at Shrivats and Shooter. Following very close behind them is Suraj, and I don't see an option in the picture. Maybe he had made a little mistake there. I'm not sure what's gone on with him. He's 2 seconds behind, so I think he's made a mistake at turn 1. We'll focus on this for now. Shrivats does not get the perfect exit out of there, so that's going to open up the door for Shooter. I don't think he's going to go for a move here. He will still get DRS. That is the detection point for DRS. And onto the back straight we go. An option, there you go, is a little further back. But what about Shooter? What about Shrivats? And will Suraj be able to play a part in any of this? Shooter tries to go for a move. I think he's going to go for the move down the inside and he makes it stick. What about Suraj? Oh, he goes for an audacious attempt there. I think he's just maybe, yeah, I thought as much. He went over there, and I'm sorry I missed that. That is a safety car. Oh, why? I'm not sure why we have a safety car, but apparently we do. We have a safety car, and that is not very good news for the hard tire runners. I think it's good for the medium runners, not necessarily. It's a little earlier than they wanted to pit, but Vifix is going to box. No pit lane cuts. I don't think we monitor those anymore. And everybody is boxing. Yes, I expect to see the top 8, all of them in the pit lane. I think anybody who stays out will really be taking a very big risk if they do so. And yeah, there you go. Everybody's boxing. Okay, even Pratham is boxing. The pit lane is very, very crowded right now. And what about the double stacks? I think everybody's in a different team, the top 10. So it really won't matter. Only it'll matter for Yash. Yash has stayed out alright. So there you go. You wouldn't have expected him to pit anyways, but it is a bit of an issue for him as Yash, he will move up the order. He will now be in P4 ahead of Noble Carter, and that's very close exit in the pits. That is a feature of this track specifically. It was also a feature of the Korea International track, if you remember that from back in the days. As I can for some reason feel the pit stop animation, the vibrations through my controller, so make of that what you will. Quality product. Every single driver has made their way into the pit lane, bar Yash Gosalia. Including Rahul, I want to see what he does. So he's gone onto the hard tires once again, the ones he started the race on. He can technically go to the end now without any issue, because one lap old tires will not really deter his progress or hinder his progress that much. So the only wild card in this entire little melee here is Yash Gosalia. He can see his teammate. Can you call him his teammate? Well, these two have been teammates, Yash and Vifix, and that has ended rather infamously, if you remember. Some of you may. A certain Division 1 Season 9. I'll not get into that, but these two have been together. They've been teammates in the past. Tonight they are in different races. Yash has not made his pit stop, and those around him have. I expect to see, well, Pratham is the only driver who's opted for the medium tires, so interesting, I'll say. That's all I'll say. It's interesting for him to opt for the medium, because that, I think, commits him to making another pit stop at some point in the race, or he's banking on another safety car. So we are definitely going to have one more lap of racing. So I would like to ask all our viewers and former drivers, current drivers as well, in the chat, please give me your predictions for the top three. Who is gonna make up the rostrum tonight? I'd really like to hear your opinions, as I'm just gonna take a little hydration break. Yes, so I'm still waiting on your opinion. So Shrikant saying V6 Ethan Noble. That's okay. So you don't believe in Basil? The driver currently in P3. He's been giving Ethan a pretty hard time. Okay, Shrikant saying Basil light up his tires. So we saw that on one occasion. Let's see if that persists throughout the remainder of this race. We'll have to wait and see what comes of this. Yes. Yeah. Yes, Harsh. So it's a different strategy call. I can't really blame him. I have done this on a few occasions in the past. Sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. But only time will tell whether it pays off for Yash, because you never know. We could yet have another safety car, which would really be a timely moment for him. Perfect moment for him to make his pit stop. Up front, I think Vifix is going to control the restart very well. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong again, Jin, if that's the case. But I believe that Vifix is really good at restarts. Maybe that's what I meant to say. Race starts, restarts, easy to get them mixed up. Rahul is he's right there. This is a lifeline for him. He was a long way back. He was really in no man's land. There was nothing that he could have done. And I agree with Jin. Yash will definitely be thinking that. And many iterations and versions of that. Vifix is good at restarts. Yeah, I think we've all been at the receiving end of that. Those of us in D1 at least, former D1 drivers as well. Safety cars in this lap, no surprise right there. It's gonna be a bit of a hindrance for Noble Garter to have Yash ahead of him, because as you've seen, Noble's really been able to keep pace with Ethan and with Baz, and there is some. I'm not really enjoying this little safety car slowing down that's going on because of having to follow the delta. You know, as viewers we get to sit back and chill, but as stewards we will have to sometimes look at it. Vifix up front. When will he pounce? I am going to wait. I'm going to be onward with Ethan. We're going to wait and watch Vifix's restart from the Williams drivers on board. Vifix is still tentative. Ethan, I think, is well aware of that, having raced against Vifix for so many seasons, so many years at this point. He will take the wider line. As Jin said, it's almost like they know each other. And Vifix has bolted. That's a pretty... It's not the best restart for Ethan. And there you go. It's actually very well spaced out of what's going on here. Shrivats and Suraj side by side going up the hill. Up front, it looks to be stable. Shrivats going for the dive down the inside at turn 1. That'll unsettle him. That'll force Suraj to take an evasive line as well. And that'll invite Pratham into this little battle here. Suraj loses another place to Pratham. That is not going to help him in the slightest. Nuption is a little too far back. Shrivats with a warning. Oh no, with the penalty, I'm sorry. Multiple warnings, sorry. Misread that. And Shrivats not enjoying that. But up ahead, look, Ethan's right there. And look who we have in the chat. Wow, welcome, sir. It's been a while since we've seen you. And there you go, Yash and Noble Garter side by side, battling it away. But I think Noble will have the grip and he will have track position on Yash as well. Up front, Ethan going for the move. Willie, I think it's in his best interest to do it as early as possible, because Vifix knows how to pull away and Basil knows how to go for the dive there. As I think there's a tactic here at play for Vifix to cover the inside and Baz to dive down the outside and inside. Let's have a look. This is some fantastic racing between these two. And I don't think actually Vifix is as comfortable in his lead as we thought he was. As we see him and Ethan side by side, and Ethan's actually moved ahead of Vifix. So that's been the perfect restart for him. That's exactly what he needed to do. Further back, Noble's got a bit of a gap there. Yash and Shooter are battling away. We'll not focus on that for the moment. Oh my word! I think Baz completely missed his breaking point there. Wow. That was scary. That was scary right there. And I think he is backed off for the moment. They are the same party chat. I'm sure Vifix has had some very choice words to dish out to Baz for that move. As Yash And Pratham battling away, I think Yash is really... I'm not sure whether his tires have not warmed up or whether his tires just old. But nonetheless, up front we have Basil and Vifix once again. I think that may be a warning for Basil the way he took that corner. Up ahead, Ethan's not safe in any capacity. Oh, I see Yash has fallen back massively. That's a spin, I believe, for him. We'll focus on that in just a minute. Let's have a look at it right here. So I think he's just lost the rear end there. So switching our focus back to the leaders, it is Vifix half a second behind Ethan. I don't necessarily think he's a bit too far back because look at the rate at which he's gaining. He might go down the inside. I think he's going to do exactly that. And Basil going for the double move, attempting it at least. And okay, this is getting really feisty, really close. Ethan's lost 2 places. Now Basil and Vifix are side by side. Ethan is there as a spectator in this battle. They're banging wheels, these two, Vifix and Basil. And I think it's door shut, but is it? Basil still finding a way to pry that door open, force that door open, and they bang wheels massively there. Ethan and Basil, that is not going to sit well with either of them. And that was very close racing, hard racing. We've not seen that in a long time. Wow, D1 is back. This is what happens when you have D1. Oh wow, I'm missing all this. Shooters right there in the mix as well. Noble's caught up. It's an IRL classic by the looks of it. Look, because the top 5, they are separated by nothing. The largest gap is 4 tenths, which is all. It keeps fluctuating, the gaps between all of them. And yes, I think almost all these drivers are D2 graduates, especially Noble and Shooter. These two have been former D2 drivers. Shooter, especially at this specific corner, he has had a lot of history. That's multiple times that I've said that. And up ahead, let's have a look. Rahul with a warning, and I don't think he's made much progress either. He's in 13th right now. That is not what he needs. I think Shah has had a bit of a spin there, and Shooter's going for the move here. His engine, his gears are spinning, and Ethan weaving around looking for the area to make the move, but Vifix has him covered up. They're banging wheels once again. This is hard racing between the top 2, and Ethan moves ahead. This is so close, and Basil looking to join the fray once again. Will Vifix go for the dive? Oh, what's going on further back here? I think that was Shooter and Noble, and Shooter's made move on the outside. That's a fantastic, opportune move, making the most of the opportunity which was presented to him there. He saw that Noble was being blocked by Basil there, and he made the move. That is quite stellar. And that's really impressive. And Vifix, look at how close he is. Look at that's the top 5 in the race. Who would have thought that Yash with a penalty? His race has just gone backwards there, and okay, that's Yash who's retired in the pit lane, so that's no issue. Okay. Who was ahead at the moment the safety car was called? That was Vifix. So we have the second safety car of the race, and the driver who was going to benefit from it is the one who's retired. And I don't know, I'm pretty sure I saw him retire in the pit lane. Was it? If one of the viewers could please let me know. Yes, this is a lifeline for Pratham, because I'm not sure what that strategy exactly was, and he's done himself no favors there. Word! Pratham! He's picked up a penalty behind the safety car when it was the perfect lifeline for him to prevent any further hindrances to his progress. That is... well, wow. Up front though, Ethan lost the lead at one of the most critical points, because he knows that Vifix is pretty good at restarts. Basil is right behind him. This is gonna be a feisty one. The question is though, do you box? Apart from Pratham, do you box? Sid and Shah have boxed, so that is fair enough. They're a bit further back in the field. And see the thing, Yash crashed before the pit entry. Oh, I think that's what Srikanth meant. Did he crash the way Danny Kvyat crashed in 2015 at the pit wall? Let me just pull it up here. So none of the top 5 are gonna pit. So Danny Kvyat crashed there. I think we can't see the mangled remains of Kick Sauber, and Pratham speeding into the pit lane. He grazes the wall there. Not sure if he's doing himself any favors. Hello Stuart Sequeira. Hello Crazy Mouse Monster. Happy birthday to you. Not a belated one. It is presently your birthday, so happy birthday to you. And we see Suraj into the pits. Is that? No, that's Rahul into the pit lane. I'm sorry for that. So Pratham had to change his wing as well, so he did get some. Oh no, he just teleports. Quality game, quality product, as we see all the time. Up front, okay, there's a big gap between Vifix and Ethan. I don't know what's going on there. He would get the hurry up from the game to close up as well. The gap to. Oh my god, that's very close for Shooter there. That was heart and mouth moment for Shooter there. Yeah, we see that Rahul, Pratham, Sonic Hawk, Sid Venkatesh, and Shah have made the call to pit. So 5 drivers have made the call to pit. For Rahul, this is very beneficial. Even though he has a penalty, he could still make something out of this race towards the end. So all those ahead, P1 to okay. Am I still streaming? If somebody can please let me know. I'm not sure what's exactly happened here. Let's just wait a moment to figure that out. I can hear the theme song and the podium. I sincerely hope this is an error on my end. Okay, so what I've expected from this game all throughout. Vifix has been very kind to send me an invite. I hope I'm still... Okay, so the broadcast is still live. I may have to restart the game. I may have to restart the stream as well. So please bear with me. I'm going to wait for another few seconds here to see if it communicates with online services in time. Okay, I'm going to restart the game. I'm going to restart the stream. Please bear with... Okay. Please let me get back to the game. Okay, I'm going to give it another chance. Alright, no, I'm not alone in the lobby. Please. So I'm going to join in. Please let me join in game. Oh my word. This is ridiculous. Please let me join in game. Please. It's one of the few good things that you do. Please let the commentator back into the race where the top 5 are separated by nothing, and there you go. I'm very sorry, that may have been an issue on my end, but we might just be back in time for the restart. I hope so. I hope there's been no other issues here. Yes, nice game as we know, and we resume the stream with the race having no, it's not restarted. There you go, but I can't see the safety car indicator for some reason. So we see the safety car out on track. We see, oh sorry, that's not supposed to be enabled there. Okay, Ethan revving in neutral. That's what I do when I'm practicing manual gears, which is never. But there you go. So we look at the position changes here. Not a lot of movement up and down the field. Most have stayed about 2 positions up and down from where they started the race. The biggest gainer in this has been Vintage Player, who has driven actually a very quiet race. I don't think I've mentioned him since we discussed the qualifying order, as I think there's a McLaren and a Alpine. Their safety car is in this lap. Alright, so good things do. No, I'm not going to say that. This game, as we know, is very high quality product. We're going to focus on the battle between Ethan and Vifix. So last time around, Ethan did not get the best launch. He didn't have the best reaction time. But he did still manage to get close to Vifix and get ahead of him as well. So this is going to be the start of lap 18 once the drivers cross the line. That is going to mark 11 laps remaining in this race, because we also have to count the 18th lap. And I believe FP1 is about to start, so we will get to that later. This is far more interesting. Vifix going wide once again. Willie, as Jin predicted, he's gone a bit early there actually. I think it's caught Ethan a little bit by surprise there. Not as much as Basil has been caught by surprise, because that's a 7/10 gap, while Ethan actually has got a reasonably fair restart there. Vifix having a little lockup there, slightly missing the apex, but he still carries on. Further back, Sid and Shah. Vintage and Nuption, Rahul and Mosquito. There's a lot going on. We'll focus on this for the moment, for the time being. As look at this helicopter shot. Shooter is a little too far back, and so is Noble Gata. I think they may be able to get into contention because look at these three. It's classic. You love to see it. The top three will go to battle. They will wage war against one another, and that'll allow Shooter and Noble Gata to come back into the mix here. As Ethan does not get the best of exits, neither does Vifix. Basil actually got the best exit out of the trio. And as we go into the back straight, Ethan using the batteries, we can see there, he has a slipstream. Vifix covering the inside there. And will he attempt to dive down the inside? He will not. Basil, okay, that is I think borderline with the corner cut. So I think Basil has been a bit of a lucky mate there in his pursuit of the track limits. But he carries on and okay, has a pretty massive moment there. I don't think he expected them to be so slow through that corner. Ethan, right there, I think he had a little moment there, a little bit of oversteer through that corner, and that's a little too much oversteer for Ethan. Up front, Vifix looks to be quite comfortable at the moment. Will he be under threat from these guys again? DRS is enabled. That is going to be quite interesting as somebody is in the pit lane. That's I am Rahul. So this race has really just gone backwards for him here, and I think that this might be the end of it for his race, unless there is another safety car for some reason. Vifix going through, okay, unsettled Ethan's car, so that is a fair remark there from Jin. I think that makes sense. Vifix he's not comfortably ahead, and there you go. Rahul has decided to call time on his race. It is thankfully in the pit lane, so we will not. Knowing this game, you can't really say anything for certain, but yeah, I don't expect to see a safety car here. So Ethan closing up to Vifix. Vifix covering the inside. Will Ethan go for the inside once again because Vifix stopped covering it, and Ethan goes for the dive. Vifix has grip around the outside, or does he? Vifix will attempt to dive here, I'm certain of it. Or will he? Well, he forces Ethan to go a little bit deeper in that corner there, and once we'll go to this cinematic camera, we'll get the full aspect of it all. Basil is not going to attempt to dive here on Vifix, and Ethan has moved up into the lead of the race once again. Shooters a bit further back, Shrivats and Suraj. This is another classic battle going on, but we have so many battles going on here tonight. I'm sorry if I'm not able to follow some of the more interesting ones. Shrikant saying yo to someone, I'm sure that person is having a nice time. So, yo, that is. Vifix gets a nice exit. I think he may have the move done before he even gets to turn 1. Before they've even crossed the pit wall, actually. He's got the move done. Ethan's still there, breaks a little later. That is going to open up the door for Basil, who, the two URL boys once again going to go side by side. Ethan, does he have the grip? I think he does. Look at this. This is incredible. I want that helicopter shot. There you go. Look at this. This is the top 3 in the race. How often do you get to say that? Well, not often enough, and there you go, Shooters just slowly making his way into a part of this as well. He wants to get involved in the action. He wants to join the battle for the podium places as well. Will Ethan get a good exit? Will Basil get a good exit? Will Vifix get the best exit? Actually, I think all 3 of them got reasonably decent exits. Vifix went for the wider line, while these 2 went for the more conventional racing line. So Ethan, will he attempt to move once again on this occasion? He moves to the outside, Basil does as well, and he has a lot of overspeed there, and this is going to be 3 wide through this section. You never see that ever. Pretty much like actually ever. Ethan's made the move here, but Vifix is still there. Will he go for a dive, Vifix? I think he will down the inside. This is aggression levels that we've not seen from Vifix in a very long time. Ethan is still ahead. I think he'll stay ahead. They're side by side, these two. This is fantastic racing. And Ethan moves ahead once again. But this, I think, is how the story goes, as a certain current popular, quote-unquote popular song goes. Vifix loses the position on the back straight, regains it on the main straight. That is just how it is. And Basil, well, he's just looking for a way to figure out how he can be the car leading the way, because he's not led this race at all, I believe. And he bumps into Vifix there. That is not going to help him out in the slightest, neither Basil nor Vifix, and there you go. Basil has nowhere to go. He almost Wow, that was way too close between Ethan and Basil. Yeah, that was. I don't know what to say about that. That was almost ended in tears for everybody, even us watching, because this is a fantastic battle. We don't want to see it end at all, pretty much. Vifix up front. He has the track position advantage. Ethan is a bit too far back. I think he's 5 tenths away. So for the back, Shah and Sid trading places. Two of the more established drivers, the older drivers in the league here. As for the back, we see Seven and Shreyvats battling. Suraj gets ahead, has a little lock up, but I think he will make the move stick, and he is ahead of Shreyvats. So a lot of drivers with penalties. This is really going to aid Nuption as Pratham has a little drift there, catches it. Time. Ethan, he'll have to close up a little bit to the fix. He is still within DRS range, so I think what Ethan's trying to do right now is charge up his battery pack. That is what they need to do. Jishnu saying the top 5 the cleanest drivers. Actually, I think he's had history with all 5 of them. So, yeah, there you go. I was just expecting to hear that. I was waiting for that comment from Jishnu there. I think it's this very race in season 10 that there was a pretty great argument between the two of you at regarding turn 1. I think I was involved in that as well. Oh, the good old days when I was racing. Ethan is up on his personal best lap time. Basil is sniffing around the rear end of that Williams, and he's set the fastest sector 1 of the whole race. So Basil has some pace here. He definitely... Well, who actually has the fastest lap? I think it is Basil. Yeah, it is. He's actually been showcasing some great pace here tonight. And as we go into the back straight, look at the rate at which Basil is gaining compared to the rate at which Ethan is gaining. Will Basil attempt a dive here? He may, and he does, and that's wheel banging, and that is going to force Ethan off. That is going to give Basil a little bit of a headache as well, because he's dealing with another car down his inside. So this is exactly what they didn't need to do, because this is going to allow Vifix to pull away. And as we saw at the start, if Vifix pulls away, he does not really concede that later on. And there you go. Basil has made the move. It's a great move. And he's ahead. He is 1.2 behind Vifix. So, oh, he gets a penalty. He's one of the few drivers in the race who did not have a penalty as of now. And, oh, that is quite heartbreaking. Jin, we're coming up to the corner where that certain event happened. And I think that was a save as well. Acted as a goalkeeper there, saving myself from, okay, Noble's gone a bit wide there. He is dancing around with his car on the curbs. And Suraj has lost a few places there. I'm not sure what's happened to him, why he's fallen back a little bit. Ethan on the back of Basil. Basil not being able to catch up to the back of Vifix at the moment. And as you can see, that he's struggling a little bit. Or maybe he's trying to push a little too hard in his quest to get within DRS range of the Kick Sauber driver. As we... Ethan looks to slingshot. Yeah, he does, but it's really imperative that we... Deadly Mosquito has broken his end plate, and at the death here, he has given us one final safety car to conclude this fantastic race. Wow, I was not expecting that. I was expecting to have what Caesar said actually happened, but now... What is it? I actually can't see which lap it is because the comments on the screen is lap 23. So, will they pit or will they stay out? The top 5. Place your bets. They have had incredible pace. Look, the gap between them and the D2 pack is actually reasonable. So, let's see. Vifix is going to dive into the pit lane. So is Basil. So is Ethan. It's a late call by him there. I think Shooter follows suit, and so does Noble Gorda. I think everybody is going to box. Maybe except Pratham. I was just gonna say that. Pratham is taking the gamble to stay out on these tries, and he's taken the gamble and he's really thrown it away. That's why you shouldn't gamble. That is, I think, the biggest learning that we can take from that. Pratham has gambled away his chance at a good result there. He has a drive through. Suraj has stayed out. So has Sonic Hawk. So has Napsh. Behind them is Vivix, and look, there is a car, and there is another car between himself and Basil. So this is going to be interesting. Vivix will have to overtake some slower cars at the restart, and they will not be very eager to let him go. And yes, Vivix has a 2-car buffer. That is it's a huge lifeline for him there. Although we know that Sid is usually not very troublesome for those behind him when they're on alternate strategies, I think Sid is still in this race to get some good points out of it, and he knows that those around him have all also made their pit stops. That's really going to be Shrikant predicting specifically three cars to spin. 1, 2 and 3. Well, Shrikant, that's a very bold prediction. Let's see if that sees the light of day. Deadly Mosquito, who scores the safety car, is a bit too far back right now. We may have the safety car for one more lap. Sure, Jin, I'll check the penalty situation. That is not the penalty tab, I'm sorry. So, Basil with a 6 seconds, alright, I did not notice that. So, he's picked up another 3-second penalty at some point. All the others who have penalties, that is Shrivats, Vintage Player, Sonic Hawk and Suraj, they all have 3-second penalties, while the only driver with a drive-through is Pratham. I think he'll have to serve it, because you get a stipulated time of 3 laps to serve your drive-through, and should you not be able to do that, like say the race restarts on lap 27, so you don't have enough time, so that'll be a 20-second penalty for you immediately. So I'm not really sure what Pratham can do from here. It is really not a very ideal situation. I would still like to see him on the track, as a bit of locking up going on further back. Shooter and Ethan have traded places, and they traded back. So, okay, they are drawing level, and this is exactly what you love to see here. People going in neutral and every bit of chaos unfolding, but thankfully, oh my word! Ethan, I don't think through any fault of his own, has picked up a 10-second penalty. Yes, it's removable, but I don't think we'll be able to interview him tonight if that is the situation. Because we do interview the top 3. We don't interview. Let's see. Let's find out. It's still a long race. Anything can happen. This is the lap where the safety car is going to be in for the final time in this race. That is removable for sure, but I think that will have to be raised with us, unfortunately, the stewards. We have 3 laps once we cross the line. Yeah, just trying to figure that out. This lap will not count, of course. It's gonna be Pratham leading the way. Vivix has 4 cars between himself and P1. He has a 2-car buffer behind him. Basil has a penalty. Shooters, I think Ethan was ahead, and I'm not sure what's exactly happened there, but I'm pretty sure Ethan was ahead, Shooters behind, and the game just decided to give Ethan the illegal overtake and a penalty in the process, and he's not even ahead of Shooter on the track. So the safety car is going to be in this lap. Anything could happen in Formula 1. Usually does, and no guys, please don't do that. We've just seen the side effects of trading places behind the safety car. Safety car indicator is giving us constant flashes, so I hope that nobody is suffering from that, because that is really not how you go about it. Suraj has to go off the track in trying to avoid the weaving tactics or the restart tactics by Pratham there, and I think I'll be on board with him. So we will restart. It's going to be lap 26, but Pratham still has to navigate the final corner. He's going slow, he's going tentative. Suraj is a bit too far back, and Pratham he's already bolted. Suraj has been nowhere. He's more than a second behind for a brief moment there. And there you go, the restart has occurred. Vifix is already into P4. Noption gave him no semblance of a battle. The safety car is fucked up, and Vifix is up into P4. He has Sonic Hawk ahead of him, and okay, further back, let's have a look at this. This is the battle. Sid Venkatesh being hounded on both sides by Shooter and by Ethan. And I think he's managed to stay ahead of Shooter, but not ahead of Ethan. Wow, that has to be scary. Sid be getting spooked from both sides. There's more. Oh my, okay, that's Basil and Vintage who have had a moment there. Ethan charging back up the pack here, and he has Vintage player going quite slowly ahead of him. We can't really blame Vintage. He's on really old hard tires, but that is not what Ethan wants in the slightest. He's gonna go for the dive there. So is Shooter, who goes for the dive. He makes it stick. Vifix gets ahead of Sonic Hawk. He now has two cars ahead of him, one of whom has a drive-through and one of whom is a 16-lap-old hard tires. This is Vifix's perfect dream, because the driver behind him can't really challenge it. He's on really old tires. Vifix will go for the dive. Will he? He forces Suraj to lock up a little bit there, and they are going to go side by side. Suraj will attempt to battle it, I think, because why won't he? He is still fighting for track position. He has his own race to contend with. Will Vifix go for a move around the outside? At this right-hander, he will attempt to, and I don't think he'll be able to make it stick at the first part of it is at least, and there you go. He won't be able to do it right now, and he is still behind Suraj for the time being. Pratham carries on. I hope he knows that eventually there will be a point where he'll have to do it. Shrivat with a warning. Vifix attempting to go for a move. I think he will dive down the inside. There's no doubt in my mind, and Sonic Hawk will do the same. There is a little bit of wheel banging there between Sonic Hawk and Suraj, and that is, look at us join the little battle here. It's URL Bath, there's yellow flag. Sidvi I think has had a moment. I think he spun at turn 1, so that is unfortunate for him there. He is down in P14. That's not the ideal race for him. And there you go. This is the battle between Basil, Noption and Ethan. Ethan would want to do a little bit better, and Pratham's had a moment. So he didn't even get to wait till the backside to make the move there. That is, I think that is a bit anticlimactic given the sheer amazingness of the battle we've seen there. Basil with a great move there to get ahead of Sonic Hawk, and I think he'll follow suit on Pratham and on Suraj on the same straight. No, it's just going to be Suraj on this occasion. He will dive down the inside. Suraj cannot do much. Basil, oh, did Pratham just move out the way there? Because now look, there's a 1.1 second separating Basil and Vifix, and Basil is losing the rear end continuously. That is not going to help him. Pratham is also not having a good time. Ethan has been spun. I'm not sure who's hit him there, but that is not the way Ethan wanted to have his race go, and he's lost his front wing, well, at least an end plate. Oh, it's gone backwards for Ethan here. Sonic Hawk loses the place to Shooter, and I'm not sure who it will be. We can have a look at people's front wings to get an idea of who may have been the cause of that. But mind you, with all these penalties, I think it's going to be Shooter in P2. And let's actually just pull that up. Yes, it's going to be Shooter in P2, and who's going to be P3? I think it might be Suraj, because Pratham has a huge penalty looming over his head, 20 seconds. He is in P3, but that's not going to stand by any means. Basil is 2 seconds behind, and he has penalties. Vifix is leading away comfortably. Oh, was that somebody having a little movement there? I think what I saw. Yes, Suraj struggling a little bit with traction. He is on old tires, and Shooter will go for the move, and I think he'll be able to make it stick as well. DRS will be enabled on the back straight as Shooter goes for the move down the inside. That's a tight. There's not a lot of space that Suraj has left him there, but he makes the move, and I think he'll make it stick as well. Okay, Suraj has immense straight line speed compared to Shooter, because look, Shooter has no battery. Up front, there you go. That is the lead that Vifix has built up since the restart. So that's what happens. You should not let Vifix go at the restart, because he'll build up a gap of over 3 seconds, and we'll get a battle in the midfield instead, which is always fun to watch. You love the midfield. You always love the midfield. The final classification will be really convoluted. We might even see Noption on the podium if things stay as they are, as we'll focus on this for the moment. Shooter and Suraj will give Vifix 1 moment of screen time as he will come across the line to win the race. And we switch back to this battle here between Suraj and Shooter. Who's going to win it out? I think it's going to be Suraj on track. But there you go. It is Noption on the podium, as I thought he would be. Noption kept it clean. He has finished on the podium. Shooters finished in P2. Noble God has finished P4. That has been a hectic end to this amazing, enthralling United States Grand Prix. Wow! And why does it say Ferrari? Oh, that's the fan zone. Shrikant, your prediction was spot on by the looks of it. Vifix wins, but it was not an easy win for him, at least during most of the initial part of the race. Wow! Kick Sauber are victorious, and they are accompanied by Alpine and by the three teams looking for a resurgence in form. They're on the rostrum. So I don't think anybody would have really predicted Nuption to be on the podium after a strategy call. But he's managed to make it stick. Vifix did also get the fastest lap at the end there. So that is your final classification. From P2 on the grid, Vifix wins the race. Shooters in P2 from P4, Nuptions in P3 from P8. That's a good, quiet drive by him. That's good points haul for him as well. Sorry, Noble Gotter is in P4. Suraj in P5. I think the race just went away from him at the end there. All of the penalties and such. Sonic Hawk is in P6. Basil is P7. Shrivats P8. Mosquito scores points with P9. So does Shah with P10. But behind it is Sid Venkatesh in P11. Vintage Player P12. Ethan in 13th. Pratham 14th. Rahul. Yeah, they didn't really finish the race, Rahul and Yash. And I saw somebody with a 33-second penalty. That has to be Pratham. But there you go. I'm going to invite the top 3 into the party chat, which, yes, I was kicked out of the party previously. I'm going to start the party, and we are going to invite Vifix, Shooter, and Nuption. Sorry for that. So the top 3 have been invited, and that has been... That's IRL. That's something we've not seen for a while. Wow, that is stellar. Vifix is here, so is Shooter. We're just waiting on Nuption. Until then, may I just take a moment to say congratulations to the both of you guys. Really well done. And thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you for that incredible battle. All the amazingness of today. Nuption, I believe you're here.
Yes.
Hey, Nuption. You're in the Williams. I'm just gonna... So, I'm thinking we're gonna start with you. I must be honest, Nuption, I don't think I gave you any screen time today. I think you'll just have to go and watch the stream to figure out why that was.
Okay.
But your strategy call at the end, it was a little risky. But what you did was what a lot of other drivers could, and that is keep it within the white lines and not get a 3-second penalty. And you finished on the podium as a result. How do you feel, and how was your race?
I mean, to be honest, it was a horrible race. Like, I couldn't make any overtakes. I had absolutely no pace at all. But yeah, I saw drivers around me getting penalties. Like, I think Suraj, Srivats had they got penalties quite early in the race. And I realized that I could keep up with them, I just couldn't overtake them. So I just knew that as long as I, maintain the same pace as them and, not get a penalty, I could have a decent position. I didn't expect a podium for sure. I was hoping a top 7 perhaps. But yeah, the safety car, I just, took a gamble because I had nothing to lose there.
Yes. So, yeah. Actually, it was quite surprising to see you stay out. Actually, I was really worried where you would end up, but in the end, you have increased your championship lead by another 15 points. And considering that the others around you didn't really have a good points haul from today, I think you lead the championship by
around 30 now since Rahul DNF.
DNF, but yeah, Suraj did get some points. I think it might be around that between 27 and 30 points. The second place driver. So this is really shaping up to be ideal situation for you. What you've really done is keep it clean, and that's the most important thing. How?
Yeah, I mean, George Russell once said consistency is key, so.
Well, you've actually been quite consistent. You scored points in every single race that you've entered and the podium as well. So, well, really well done. When all the chaos was unfolding around you, how did you feel? Like towards the end?
You mean when I was getting passed left, right, and center by
Yes,
the top
yes,
guys?
yes.
uh, I mean, I was just making sure that I don't get into any like contact with anyone because Ethan got hit or he hit someone and spun out, and even Rahul, I think in the first safety car broke his leg. So I was just trying to be cautious that not get any damage, keep my race going.
Well,
And apart from that, everyone else was trying to overtake me was in the party anyway, so there was a bit of coordination at least.
well, I must say it was a big risk I think that you took, but it did pay off for you in the end. You kept it clean and yeah, just very, very well done. Congratulations to you.
Yeah, and congrats to Vifex and Shooter as well.
Yes, absolutely. And it's just me today who is going to be asking the question. So I think that's it. Nupshan, well done. Congratulations. If anybody in the chat has anything they would like to ask Nupshan, please do let us know. That is the
Unless
case.
it's Malav, no questions from Malav.
Well, he's he's looking for his Doklas to hatch. But yes, nonetheless, we now say congratulations once again to you, Nupshan, and we move on to the car of all time and this particular track's driver of all time, Shooter. Hello, are you here, Shooter?
Yeah, I'm here, Chips. Just let me check if my voice
That's
is on or not.
Pete. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a clip I've not heard in a while. But yes.
Yeah, it's sharing.
Welcome, Shooter, to the podium room.
Finally.
Did you expect to be here tonight?
No.
Okay. That's a little surprising. Considering you were right there with Ethan and Baz throughout the race, and like Noble as well was in the fray, but you were there throughout. So why weren't you expecting to be on the podium?
First of all, playing a game after a very long time. Second, it's Kota, so there is a PTSD here. so yeah, means it was unexpected the podium, but yeah, seeing people getting penalties here and there and keeping it clean, keeping there means the first stint was not good from me on mediums because my setup was not, I think, medium based. But yeah, on hard tires I was able to push a lot. So yeah, good position, good place, and keeping it clean really helped.
Yes, certainly keep it clean really helped.
Yeah.
And at the end, how worried were you that something chaotic was going to unfold in front of you? And like,
well, it did happen. So yeah, means everyone got very competitive in the last 2 laps. So people were Ajibaji was going on. I had to go off track because Sid was there. I don't want to make contact with him, and I was worried because I was already on 2 warnings. So I had to lift a lot to not get a warning. And I don't know how Ethan spun in front of me because I was not expecting that. And then because of that, I think Sonic also got a very bad exit, and yeah, 2 cars in one go, and Pratham was having DT, Baz was having 6 seconds of penalty. Yeah. So it really helped that. But yeah, last 3 laps were really fun.
I can only imagine that was.
Yeah, and Alpine is love. Getting Alpine to the podium.
Alpine is love. Alpine is love. Kya baat hai. Well done, Shooter. That is the perfect way for you to sign off your podium interview. And we will say thank you for those very, very beautiful words to you, Shooter. And we will move on to the race winner.
By the way, Chips, congratulations, Nupshan, and congratulations, Vifex. I was actually not very happy being me on the podium, but seeing Nupshan on the podium there, so it was nice. Like, it was not unfair.
Well, nothing's unfair in racing. And I think we're gonna find some of it out from our race winner. Kick Sauber back on the top step of the podium. Vifex.
Yo! Sup?
That is the race win.
Yeah. way more stressful than it should have been with all those safety cars and admittedly my flub in qualifying because last run I ran into some traffic, but even before that I just on my second lap should have been good enough, so I'll still have to improve on that. But yeah, that I don't know why IRL just makes my heart rate go up a bit more, blood pressure increases for even what should be wins. I mean, the medium stint, I was, I think, around 3 to 4 seconds clear of everyone, and then the safety car came out. Then on the hards, obviously, when there are lesser laps, people are gonna be more adventurous. I felt that. Hello?
Yes, hello.
Yeah.
I think you
I
cut out
felt
there.
that. Yeah. Yeah, so what part do I have to repeat from?
The end where they all got really feisty on the hearts.
Yeah, that got really feisty because the setup that I had, it was really good at eking out end of tire life performance. So even on the mediums, I think you could see that on like lap 7 to 10, I was just increasing the gap. I was just trying to get that 1 second gap on hards as well. But yeah, Ethan and Baz, they were making it very, very difficult. Kudos to them. And then finally, I broke them on the second safety car. Third safety car. Yeah, no, the second safety car. And then after that, yeah, just I had to pit at the end because I probably could have kept that P1 anyway, considering how far behind the guys who pit on softs came and how many cars they had to pass. Actually got a bit fortunate there because I got cars in between me and Ethan. I think 2 or 3 of them, people who hadn't pit. And then after that, yeah, it was just about getting the fastest lap. Trying not to get a penalty, of course, because I did have 2 warnings. And yeah, more stressful than it had to be, but P1 is still P1.
The sheer amazingness of the battle between the Mythics, courtesy of yourself, Ethan, and Baz. It's been phenomenal. I'd just like to thank you for that specifically, and also extend the gratitude, extend some gratitude towards Ethan and Baz for giving us so much entertainment all throughout the day. That was phenomenal. Even when the game kicked me out, yeah.
Yeah, and we are welcome for that invite, by the way, risking life and limb in a safety car. I 80% expected to get taken out by the safety car given this game. But yeah, congrats to Shooter and Navshan as well. I didn't want to see what was going on behind me because I was gunning for fastest lap and I didn't want to get a corner cut warning. So I know there was quite a lot of argy-bargy after I got into P1. So kudos to them for sticking it out through the melee.
And well, kudos to you. Every time there was some battling behind you, you managed to perfectly pounce on that opportunity and pull away. Every time. That was really, really impressive to see. That was remarkable timeliness.
You know, they say that the legends always know when to pull out in time.
And well, you pulled out some pace out the bag there. But in any case, thank you and congratulations once again to you. And
kudos to you for sticking a solo comms after so many weeks of having 3 or 4 people.
Oh, yeah. I actually quite enjoyed it today, you know. It was really, really fun. I think the last time we had a race.
Not having Malav's voice in the comms box.
The last time we had a race over here for D2, I was solo comms for that as well. So that was also a pretty nice hectic race. I think that's the trend we need to follow for the future. But in any case, congratulations Vivek, congratulations Shooter, congratulations Navshan, and to all the drivers, all of them. That was phenomenal throughout the night.
And just a last word to Navshan, 104 points, bitch.
Okay.
You have what, 6 races left now?
Yes.
Okay.
Mathematics.
I'd like to see you try.
But let's see. This could be a very interesting end to the season. We have another 6 races to go, right? So
Yes.
well, interesting things coming our way, and I believe next week is no, it's not Vegas. Sorry, what's the next? Mexico. Oh, Mexico.
Very original calendar.
One garbage track to another.
Mexico is going to be an interesting race. high downforce and high top speeds. Very rare combination. But we shall see you all next week at the country, well, at Mexico. Until then, thank you. Take care. Good night and